hey everybody, it's Nobara. It's Romania Black, and we are finally here! We are at Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2! Oh my god, this has been a long time coming. So, Jujutsu Kaisen Season 1 was one of the first series that I reviewed that was a shonen battle anime for this channel. I fell in love with it. It was giving me like everything, all of the feelings I had watching Bleach growing up. It was giving me all of those vibes, but in a more modernized and really awesome package. So, I love Jujutsu Kaisen so much, and I have been dedicated these last 2 years to being anime only. And let me tell you, when I say I've muted everything on Twitter, I have stayed away from watching any videos on YouTube so that the algorithm won't pick up. I have been dedicated to no spoilers for these last 2 years, damn it. And we're finally here. I've had many people be like, well, you should just go ahead and read the manga. And I've been like, no, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait, and I'm gonna let it come out. And I'm so happy that I have, because we're here! So, I've dressed up as Nobara before, and I thought if I ever go back to a convention, I would love to be Nobara. And I've actually never done my hair like this. I've never done pigtail buns before, but I was like, I've been growing my hair out, being like, maybe I can do Nobara tonight. And so, this is my on and off attempt. I think I'm gonna dress up as Nobara every week, but just with a different shirt underneath the overalls. Because I'll never wear these anywhere because I will get stuff all over them. So, they'll just be our Jujutsu Kaisen. Nobara, she's just going to be dressed up in different fashion for the rest of the next 24 weeks. 2 consecutive cures. 2 consecutive cures. I'm so excited. Yes, I ditched the reading glasses tonight. I was like, nah, we're gonna go commit. So, but yeah, I'm anime only. So y'all, please no spoilers. I'm anime only. I am anime only, and I've been waiting. So I can't say it's been 2 full years because I did watch the movie last year, so there was that. But it's been a long time, and the thing about it is like the last couple weeks we've been talking about in the Discord. There's been fan art shared. I'm like refreshing myself. Like I'm ready to see Nanami. I'm ready to see Yuji again. I'm ready to see Nobara, see Megumi. I'm ready to see Gojo even. I'm just so excited, y'all. I cannot wait. But I hope y'all are excited too. If y'all are anime only like I am, we have been waiting patiently, and I'm very excited to see what MAPPA has in store for us. So yeah, before we start though, I want to give a quick shout out over to the patrons over on Patreon. If you would like to see the next episode next week, if you're watching on YouTube, you can subscribe on Patreon and see episode 2. But I want to give a special shout out to the patrons in the philanthropy tier, because they do so much in supporting me to help me to host this reaction. I have to pay for the reaction site that hosts it, and they help fund that every month. So thank you, and help fund me doing fun things like doing cosplay and other things with anime and manga, and talking and rambling about them and sharing that love with you all, because you all are amazing. So a special shout out over here to these individuals, to Edgar, to Anime Annie, to Dana, to Truck, to Alex Cornejo, to Nameless Monster, to Tyrone, to Shimoyama, to Librarian of Lang, to Lude Genesis, as well as Koopa Lutek, to Sunspots, Translucent Men, as well as, oh my gosh, Kiri, Be Happy, Eric, and I think that is it. So yeah, so if you all are over here, thank you very much. And thank you all to patrons and subscribers on YouTube. I really appreciate it. But yeah, no, I've waited all day. I had to work all day at work. I had to do things when I got home. I was like, I have been waiting patiently. It's super hot outside, but that's okay, because we are finally here, y'all, and I'm so excited. So let's get this party started. I have not watched any trailers. I have not seen anything that's not been on this channel, so I have no clue what's gonna happen, because they left off at a pretty good point with the last season. We got just a little bit about what Mahito's been doing with the curses and everything, and then there was the one that had the band over. The 2 brothers died. So there's been it ended on a very distinct point. So I'm very curious where they're gonna pick up at here, right? What are we gonna do? Is Yuta gonna show up? Where's he been all this time? The movie kind of suggests that Gojo's went and got him, so what are we doing with that? I don't know, but I'm really excited. So we're not gonna waste any more time. We're gonna dive right in, but I hope you all enjoy. So we're gonna start episode 1 of season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen, technically episode 50, 25 or whatever, and we're gonna do that here in 3, 2, 1. And let's do it to it, Lars. My first reaction to Jujutsu Kaisen had an 8-minute discussion. I think I could spend 8 minutes talking about the OP. Oh my god, the moment that Fushiguro started talking, I was like, wait, no, but it is, it's that voice actor. I was not anticipating that voice actor playing his voice. I would never have guessed it in a million years, but that just made me 1,000 times more excited. So, this is Whiteboard-kun. Has Whiteboard-kun been here for a Jujutsu Kaisen reaction? I don't know, but we got 1,000 things to talk about in this episode, so we might as well start. And I'm going to keep it as upbeat as possible. Who knows if it'll be 8 minutes? I don't know. My intro was about 8 minutes. But yeah, oh my god. So, we're doing a flashback arc. Great! So, I mean, I love Yuji. I love Megumi. I love Nobara. Obviously. But if you told me we're going to start out with a flashback arc, I've been like, oh my god, yes, please. I love flashback arcs. I love flashbacks in anime. Usually, mangaka have so much fun with flashbacks because they're not tied to the main plot of the story. It gives character background. You can go crazy with it. It usually will involve a lot of angst. So, seems like that's going to be the case. So there's going to be a lot we can do with this. And I'm really happy that we're doing this because in the Zero movie, we had a lot of setup with Ghetto and Gojo having history with one another. And now we're actually going to get to see the history. So I'm really excited about that. And the stuff with Ghetto and Gojo from the beginning, like, we need to talk about this because there is a lot that is kind of counter the movie and counter where we're at now. So I'm like, oh my god, just contrast, parallels, things. We're getting characters in the background. I'm not going to spend too much time on the OP because I do think we're going to have like several episodes to look at it. We'll talk about it when we get to it, but there's a lot to talk about with this episode, and I'm really excited. I will say first and foremost, I have Whiteboard-kun up here. 2 things. 1, I'm going to speculate about a lot of stuff, and I will probably be 90% wrong and 10% maybe on the right track. And all I ask is that in the comments, don't confirm or deconfirm my theories. Don't tell me if I'm right. Don't tell me if I'm wrong. Don't tell me, oh, you'll find out about such and such. I don't want to know. I want to be blissfully ignorant. I've waited 2 damn years. I'm going to be blissfully ignorant until this show gives us answers. Because I trust Akutami. I trust that Gege is going to give us some answers. And I'm going to be here waiting for it, right? Number 2, I have only been spoiled about one thing with the future of Jujutsu Kaisen. And I'm glad they brought it up now because I was waiting till I could talk about it. Because the only thing I know going into this series, and it was spoiled like way back when I ended season 1, like 2 years ago. So it's been a spoiler I've been nesting on like a little egg for the last 2 years. The only thing I know about where Jujutsu Kaisen is now is that there's a man named Toji. He is Fushiguro's dad, and he's freaking hot. That's all I know about him. And that's all I want to know right now. I know that Toji is his dad, and he's like a DILF, and that's all I know. But the fact that Zeke is voicing him is just like, of course Adam is voicing him. Of course he is. Why are we not surprised? It's like, waiting all this time for his voice actor to be a daddy, and here we are. Oh my god, so that's all I know. So those are my 2 caveats. I'm going to be using Whiteboard-kun. We're going to talk about a lot of theories, lots of things, but that's what we're going to do. So I hope you all enjoy this wild ride because I have a feeling if this season is going to be like a core of flashback and a core of present, I'm going to be one very happy Nobara. That is for sure. I'm like, should I cosplay as a different character each week? Should I do May next week? Can I get a white wig by next week? I might do a Shoku next week. I might just wear my hair down, straighten it super straight. I'll wear a black shirt under the overalls and be Shoku. I'll do that. I'll have a cigarette hanging out of my mouth. I don't smoke. But yeah, we'll just do that. So we have a lot of ground to cover. And starting out with the whole thing with Ghetto, I want to talk real quick about the animation. Elephant in the room. I'm sure that people are going to talk about it in reactions. People have probably talked about it on the internet when the trailers came out that I didn't watch. So I'm probably miles behind on this. I like the animation. Does it look clunky at times? Yes. Does sometimes it go really well with the animation? Yes. Does it seem like the panels I've randomly seen from season 1's animation the manga panels I've seen, does it look like it would be directly lifted from that but colored and like made into animation? Yes. So I am fine with the animation. It is different than season 1, and I'm okay with that. I think the spirit of Jujutsu Kaisen is still in it, and I'm sure there's gonna be people that complain because there are a couple shots, like sometimes the rotoscope, it almost seems like Mappa's trying to be UFO table for a hot second, but they're not UFO table. So, and that's all I'll say. I mean, I've only watched 2 seasons of Demon Slayer, but UFO table is like godly with its animation. It can do so much. And I feel like there's a couple rotoscope moments where Mappa's trying to do that, and I'm like, well, you're close. But maybe if you didn't take on 20,000 projects and just did one like UFO table does, you could get there too. But I'm not saying anything else. But yeah, I do like the animation. It is distinct, it's different, but it still feels very Jujutsu Kaisen. So as far as it goes for this episode, I'm totally fine with it. But it is a very distinct difference. So going into this season, I'm like, whoa, this is much different than the movie. So it takes a little bit of adjustment too. But I'm totally fine with it. So can we talk about Ghetto in this opening scene? The moment that he started talking, at first I thought we were still in the present. But then you hear that voice, and it's Miyuki, you hear that, it's Reagan, you hear that, and you're like, oh, it's Ghetto. And I know there's a big controversy about Ghetto, his voice acting scandal. People are all different directions with it. It's not my business, so I'm not gonna say anything, but I mean, I'm not so closely attached to Ghetto that if they'd replace his voice actor, would I have complained? But I will say this, the voice actor playing Ghetto does a good job voice acting. So regardless of his personal life, he does a good job voice acting. So we talk about things were busy that summer. And I feel like there's a lot of dialogue that is brought up in this that I need Whiteboard-kun brought up. So we're doing a flashback. Doing a flashback to the summer. And it is the second years. So second years, which is kind of interesting. I find that interesting because I'm gonna get a different marker, because it's not like Yuji and Megumi and Nobara are first years. So here we have them as second years, like Urahime, all of these. So they're kind of like Panda and Yuta and all of them. So I guess it's Akutami not being complete, like ripping off the trio from the beginning to the trio now, although there are lots of similarities, right? The frequent disasters of the past year played a role where there were cursed spirits everywhere. And he says they're springing up like maggots. I want to talk about Ghetto. So apparently in the summer, the year before, there was a disaster. We don't know what that disaster was, but it has caused cursed spirits to rise. Okay? So I have a feeling like there was lots of little random throwaway lines in this episode that I was like, oh, that's going to come back and be somewhat important, right? And so I just wanted to make note of those as we go. But with Ghetto's character, he's so fascinating in that he just looks so dispassioned when he's going and finding the spirits. He looks so dispassioned. He sees the cursed spirit at the end of the hall, right? And he talks about exercising, absorbing, and then rinse and repeat over and over again. That he keeps on going over and doing the same thing. No one else understands what a cursed spirit tastes like. So, this whole thing where Ghetto feels, or maybe, he hasn't outright said it, but Ghetto being used for his power, and the idea of cursed spirits tasting like a vomit rag. That's disgusting, right? And what's so fascinating about it is that in the movie, because I have a feeling we'll be drawing lots of comparisons to the movie, in the movie when we see Ghetto in the second past, the more closer to the present, we see him like indulging in the spirits and eating them. They look like little chocolate balls. They're like little balls and candies, and he just eats them like they're a delicacy, right? But to know that at the start of it all, no, that was not the case at all. That's all a show. It's like swallowing a dirty rag that's been used to clean up shit and vomit. And you see him like eating it, and you see him like just eating it, and then like how disgusted he looks. What I witnessed isn't common. I understood the ugliness of the masses and still chose to be a jujutsu sorcerer who saves others. And so then, yeah, that's what I've been telling myself ever since that day. Okay, so we have the idea that Ghetto wanted to use his powers to save the masses. Which is so weird because in the movie he's very elitist and he doesn't want to save any of the masses. He just wants to protect the Jew. He just wants there to be only sorcerers and no other people. And so then we cut back to him with the long hair and it looks like the KFC breakup scene, right? But it's Gojo standing there. That's Gojo standing there and then them looking at each other. So they're looking at each other amidst and there's clearly the separation, the symbolic cutting of the panel where they're separating, looking at each other. Is this the breakup scene from the movie or is it something different? With Gojo and Ghetto, I would not be surprised if they were on and off again like the two ladies in Rent. They just keep getting together and breaking up, right? Come on. Now, the animation, I know it probably gets a lot of criticism, but the home movie footage of the president of the company that kills himself and becomes a ghost that haunts the mansion, that part was freaking amazing. It was so creepy to see the movie footage played back with the different grain elements. It looked like a home video. It was disturbing and it was from the 90s, ripped straight out of it, which we'll get some more 90s references. I was like, oh my God, I loved it, right? You had the dad and the little girl and them in the house. And it's just so creepy. And they talk about the random mad cow disease breakout, Delta fatal blow the restaurants. That's late 90s, early 2000s. So what I really like that Akutami does is he positions this in the 90s, right? The late 90s, early 2000s, which is around the time that this would take place when they were younger, right? Before Yuji and all of them were old enough. So that's so cool to me. I freaking love that, right? I love it. I love the idea that he's going back to a specific time period, like the early 2000s, mad cow disease was a big thing. I remember being on the news. I like the idea that Akutami is trying to draw back on that. We have the Digimon references. We go back into the manor. You see the kids on the bed, all the things that are creepy in the manor. You see it all in the house. Love the setup of it. I love it. So then we have all the different, but it switches out from that home video quality instantly to the episode and the panoramic view of all the landscapes. It's great. So yeah, this is definitely early 2000s because of the laptop and they have the classic Windows screen on it. Yeah, this is definitely not 90s, but 2000s, early 2000s, 2005-ish probably. But yeah, you can definitely see there's the Windows, the classic logo. I was having a nostalgia trip on this one episode from all the tech and everything. The rumors brought about more rumors and the damage continued to spread. And she has the flip phone and everything. Yes. Rumors tend to spread rather quickly around haunted spots. Yes. Which just makes matters worse, right? God, I love May's outfit. I love it so much. They can spread at unbelievable pace nowadays thanks to the internet. Yeah, so it's the dawning of the internet, spreading rumors, spreading curses, spreading darkness. Yeah, talking about, I love the idea about the tech spreading curses. Love it. Love that we're bringing in the technology into this and how it's affecting things and will continue to affect things. It's great. Love it. So there's these three girls, okay? We see Urahime. We see May. May looks freaking amazing. I love May's suit. Love the tie. Love the high-waisted pants. I thought May's hair was down for a long time, but it's just she has the big bangs and then the ponytail. I was I would cosplay as May in a heartbeat at a convention with this. And then Urahime. And then the one thing is we don't know the lady. That's not Shoku, the lady with the glasses. We don't know her. So I'm going to keep a tally of folks that we don't know. We don't know Glasses Girl. We'll put her down here. We do not know her. She may come back up, and she may just end up being somebody random. We don't know. But yeah, that means even more work for Jujutsu sorcerers. Now, May kind of hints at it throughout this. May sort of hints at the idea that she likes getting paid and she likes making money. May is also significantly older than them because, they're all second years. May is I'm going to put May up here. May is a first grade sorcerer, so she's already graduated and she's like in the business. So that's interesting. May's aged good. She looks pretty good for being at least, 4 or 5 years older than Gojo and Ghetto. All right, and then we have the kid that looks like something out of It, right? A high chance that people who trace the paths of those that have disappeared will get caught up in it as well and become victims. Yep. And we have to sever the root of the issue. I like the Urahime. Urahime is so, like, pragmatic and functional and efficient, and May's just like, yeah, let's do that. I love the pairings that Akutami's giving us, like with May and Urahime. I didn't think I would ship May and Urahime. I kind of ship them now. And then Ghetto and Gojo need to just get a freaking room and just get the aggression out. Just go ahead, just go a few rounds. Boys, get it out of your system. You could cut the sexual tension between them with a knife, and this is the first episode. I was just like, get a room. Get several rooms. So yeah, they all like went to the house and everything to go investigate. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. It looks like The Shining. I do want to note, we have the logo and everything before we get to the OP. The whole thing inside the mansion is pretty standard fare. I thought it was very creepy. I thought the vibe was there, the trash all around. There's like a gathering of chairs. The one thing that's kind of creepy though is I'm wondering if we get established that the cursed spirit is basically engulfing the entire mansion, right? So a couple things. One, I wonder if things that were happening in this house will have connections to things later. Like we saw the chairs all gathered around a circle, which you could argue was the ghost of the family gathering. But could this mansion have been a hideout for one of the two groups that are after the vessel, which we'll talk about the vessel. Could it have been a hideout for one of them? It made me think of in season 1 where Mahito and Ghetto and the one with the line over his face, the one brother, where was it Cholo? Maybe it's Cholo, where they were all meeting together. It reminded me of that atmosphere. So I'm like, was this a secret hideout for some of, Ghetto obviously was not one of them because he was a second year, but could this have been a hideout for one of the religious groups that's after the vessel? We don't know. But there was just that. The clothes on the bed, that part was creepy. The idea of the stained glass window is the only thing that survives. But yeah, the house of 3, the husband, the daughter, and the mom all have like a chair and stuff there. So they split up and she goes to the second floor. The other thing I was going to point out is that does this feel very much like an episode of Chainsaw Man? And if you've watched Chainsaw Man, you know what I'm talking about. It does. Now, chicken or the egg, which came first? I'm going to say that Akutami's came before Fujimoto's, but I don't know. I know Akutami and Fujimoto are besties, along with Horikoshi, who creates My Hero Academia. The 3 of them are like the besties. So could they have traded ideas and been like, oh, what a great idea. I'm going to use that in Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm going to use that in Chainsaw Man. I think they're distinct enough that we can't say they copied off one another, but the idea of the hotel that goes in a circle and goes nowhere, granted, the situation isn't being much different than Chainsaw Man, so you can't say it's a direct ripoff. It's just kind of I think it still stands on its own and can be its own thing. So whatever, what have you. But I do like this is a nice set piece to get the dynamics between Urahime and May established and how their characters are fundamentally different. And also to establish the two work together really well as a duo. And they're very good at solving problems. Like I want to see more of May and Urahime in the present now based on this one scene. And them working separate shows that there's clearly been like, granted, May is a freelance agent and Urahime teaches at the school, so there's a big difference there. But I'm glad the show did not go with a jump scare because I was fully anticipating there being a jump scare. When we saw the mice under the bed, I was like, show, I'm not a horror person, and I know that sometimes these curses have really freaky designs, so I was like, please don't scare us with the jump scare, and they didn't, and I was really, really glad. But I like the two of them worked out the reason of how to get out. And by using it, by kind of stretching the borders and making the spirit break, I thought that was really cool. And then lo and behold, it all collapses. And who shows up right at the right time after they've done all that work but Gojo? Now, the one thing is, when Gojo appears, it just like, he just like appears. Like he just saw, I thought it was a bird transforming for a minute. I thought it was May. Like May could become a bird and then transform. But no, it's just Gojo just popping up. I'm here to save you, Urahime. What a jerk. What a jerk. What a jerk, Gojo. Oh my god. But yeah, so then we have this OP, right? We have the OP. Now, we start out the OP with Gojo in the present, right? So we're going to go back to the present at some point, I'm sure, before this core is over. Maybe we're going to spend only 4 or 5 episodes of flashback. Maybe we're going to spend 6 episodes of flashback. I don't know. But I'd be all for a whole season of flashback, honestly. Based on this episode alone, I'd be all for it. Okay, so I do have some questions. I do want to put some questions here. Questions I'm going to put over here. Questions from this episode about the present. One is Gojo's eyes. Gojo's eyes in the present are always covered. He just undoes the cover whenever he wants to be serious and badass. In the past, he has glasses on, but we see him often without the glasses. Like, he's not covering his eyes up like he is in the present. Why? So that's question number 1. Why is Gojo's eyes allowed to be free in the past, whereas in the present they have to be covered up? I'm assuming the show is going to answer that question for us, but it's just, I'm letting y'all know what I'm thinking of. But I'm not going to dwell too much on the OP, but I'm just going to go through it and see what we get and talk about it. But yeah, so we have at the very beginning, hidden inventory and premature death. So this is hidden inventory. I'm guessing we're going to have some episodes about hidden inventory and some episodes about premature death. Premature death makes me believe that somebody's going to die early. I mean, and that may seem like a spoiler, but in any flashback arc of any anime, somebody's gonna die. This happens in every single one. Someone dies or is severely injured in every single anime flashback, no matter what. It's just like a staple. It's like, we're not gonna go into the past unless something bad's gonna happen. So hope you're ready for that. That's basically it, right? But I want to go through this OP really quick and note, like, I have a feeling we'll be talking about it the entire time. So, yeah. Okay, the obvious person that stands out is the happy-go-lucky black-haired kid who looks too innocent for this world and has 1,000 death flags on him. And then we have the one girl that's supposed to be the vessel. We'll talk about that when we do the present. So yeah, Gojo with his glasses looking absolutely ridiculous. I mean, going through this, what I do love that Akutami does is that none of the trio, Ghetto, Gojo, and Shoku, none of them are exactly like Fushiguro or Yuji or Nobara. I like that. What I was afraid of was seeing them in the past, they were going to be carbon copies of them. And they're not. Like, Yuji is way more compassionate, sincere, and innocent than Gojo is. Megumi is way more stoic and like loyal and compassionate than Ghetto is. And Shoku's like I don't want to see any of this, and like pieces out when there's like, you know, could be PDA between Ghetto and Gojo. And Nobara be sitting there like eating popcorn like, well, come on, give me some more. So, you know, there is a difference, and I like that, right? But we get Gojo, we get Ghetto, and them bickering and arguing. Like the bickering and arguing with Ghetto and Gojo, Yuji and Megumi don't do that. They're both kind of like chums. And Ghetto and Gojo look like they're like 2 steps away from making out in a corner. And then Shoku has a little scalpel there, which I'm like, is she a doctor? So we have Nanami and the black-haired kid, right? Okay. And then we have this guy with a cigarette and Toji. Who looks bored. Yeah, interestingly enough. I mean, I'm not going to focus too much on it, but my theory is the black-haired kid. We don't know about the black-haired kid. He's giving off lots of Junpei vibes, though, which does not bode well. The black-haired kid that's a mystery, who is Nanami's friend. I'm so excited that we get to see Nanami. I can't wait to see young Nanami with his little hair slicked down and everything. My thing that I'm curious about is, I wonder if Nanami's going to be the one to suffer from the tragedy. And, you know, kind of like Yuji losing Junpei and Nanami being there for him, I wonder if that's going to remind Nanami of back when he lost so-and-so, and we do that. Now, we don't know if that's going to happen. That kid may not die. He may be totally fine, but the OP makes him so happy-go-lucky, like, everything's just right as rain, and I'm like, that's a death flag. There are no such things as right as rain things in an Akutami feature, so nope. But yeah, so we have the 3 of them, and then, God, Toji, and I was like, oh my God, why am I going to sip over this buff-ass man? Why? So I hope y'all are ready. Now, see, what I thought going into this was the girl, my little theory is, because I knew Toji was going to be in this. We'll talk about it at the very end some more. But when we saw Toji in the OP and then the girl right after it, my theory was that the girl is going to end up being Megumi's mom. That was going to be the two of them meeting, and she was going to be Megumi's mom. But at the very end, Fushiguro says that he took his wife's name, so he's already married and already married to Megumi's mom, so that can't be it. So it was like, okay, all right, then never mind. That theory's nixed automatically. I was like, okay, forget that. But yeah, so, and then of course we have Gojo, and of course Gojo and Ghetto working together wonderfully. Just get a room already, and just being the best they can be. I freaking love this OP. And then, yeah. And the part where the two of them, like, spin around in the OP, I was like, Akutami, I don't think cares what anybody thinks, but it's pretty obvious. I mean, let's be real, y'all. Let's be real. Okay, so then we have our second grade. Okay, so, never mind. Hold on. Urahime is not a student. Gojo is a second year. Urahime is a second grade. Oh, so her and Mei are already graduated. Okay, so Urahime, we'll put her up here. She's a second grade, so she's just going alongside, kind of like a sheriff and his deputy, sort of that thing. Okay, that makes more sense. She's not in high school. Well, she doesn't have the uniform on, but that's great. And then we have Ghetto and Shoku showing up. Yep, the second year, Ghetto Suguru. It says Satoru, it's not nice to pick on the weak. Again, a total 180 from his philosophy later on, because his philosophy later on is like the weak's gotta die. The Jujutsu sorcerers are the only ones that can live. So I'm like, what the hell happened? What completely changed your mindset from high school to now? Like, what happened to you? And I'm assuming that's what we're gonna find out. And then Gojo says, what kind of idiot picks on the strong? You're fanning the flames, Ghetto. And then Shoku. So Shoku, I love that she has like the candy cigarette. And she's gonna, it's so weird to see her out without the bags under her eyes, looking exhausted as hell, right? We haven't heard from you for 2 days. And I like that Urahime instantly likes her and like jumps at her. It's super cute. We could ship Urahime with a lot of people. We could ship Urahime with Mei. We could ship Urahime with Shoku. I'm all for this. We need some women love up in this anime. Let's go. I feel like Akutami is all about like guys and girls shipping together. This is 2023. Like, let's be real. I mean, the only heterosexual ship we're getting here is Megumi's parents. That's all you get. So anyway, so I like that Mei wants extra fees. I still don't understand why Ghetto is just shown slowly rising up through the screen like a damn snake, but I'm sure that it's something that happened that way in the manga. It's freaking hilarious, and I could watch it over and over again as a gift all day where he's just slowly rising up. It's ridiculous. So then we have the principal, who he's shown here without his glasses. You left behind your assistant supervisor and forgot the veil. First grade sorcerer, Yaga, Masamichi. So we have Yaga, who is a first grade, and he's a teacher there. He doesn't have the glasses on. This seems like pre-Panda years, pre-Panda time. But yeah, so he gets onto them because they acted rashly and irrationally, and they're like, whose idea was it? And instantly they're both like, it's Gojo. Surprising no one that it was Gojo's idea. And he's like, oh, sensei, why don't we stop this hunt for the culprit? It was you. See, that's a big difference. What I love about this is that there is a major difference between Yuji and Gojo, because Yuji, I feel like, would take responsibility for it and be like, it was my idea, but I had a reason for it, whereas Gojo's just tries to like troll it off like it's no big deal. Discipline. Oh my God. Was the veil necessary in the first place? So we talk about this basketball conversation. I like the Shoku's in the back wearing Gojo's glasses. That's super cool. Are the glasses special? Is she wearing them for a reason? Are they like high-end frames? Are they Gucci? do we know? Are they Louis Vuitton? And so yeah, they're playing basketball, which, you know, I love Kuroko's basketball. I will not complain. And he says, it's not like it matters if normies see it or not, right? I love that he's like, they can't see cursed spirits or cursed techniques anyway. I am very, very upset that Mappa made Gojo hugging that basketball look as amazing as they did. I'm like, stop. Mappa, he's already hot enough. You don't have to make him hotter, damn it. But, so this is fascinating, is that we have Ghetto, who wants to use his power to save the masses, right? Then we have Gojo, who uses phrases like the normies doesn't consider it a big deal if they see if they use the veil or not because they can't see cursed spirits anyway. And so he tosses the basketball without even trying it, and Ghetto stops it before it goes in. He says, of course it's not good for them to see. The strongest deterrent against the outbreak of a cursed spirit is to mental calm of the population. Like, what if they do see it? What if it causes distress? That's why we have to conceal the threats that they can't even see as much as possible. And then Gojo's like, well, quit lecturing me. And he takes the ball away and does the layup. I'm all about this basketball AU with Ghetto and Gojo. I'm living for it. He says, looking out for the weak is exhausting. And tosses it to him. Survival of the weakest. That's how a society should be. The weak help each other and discourage any who are strong. And the sorcerers exist to protect non-jujutsu sorcerers. So I just, it's what's so funny is that their opinions of jujutsu sorcerers are going to flop. They are going to completely change somehow over the next few years. We don't know why, but their views are going to change. Gojo gives off very posh boy vibes. Gojo gives off rich boy vibes. Like which we know that he's from a bloodline that is related to the Zenins, and the Zenins are popular and have a big legacy. So Gojo seems like he's that posh boy from the rich family that didn't have to try hard to get into school. He's just been breezing by on his talent alone, and he's got an amazing talent, right? Also, what's interesting is the barrier around Gojo. In the present, it's like skin thin. In the present, the barrier is like, you don't even know it's there till you try to touch him, and it's just like barely radiating off his skin. Here, when the knives surround him, they stop like wet back here. It's like a really cool feature they do to show you that his powers aren't fully developed yet, and he's still honing them in. So he's not fully got the barrier under control. It's like out a little bit, and I don't know if it was intentional or if that's what it's representing, but it's a cool visual, right? But yeah, their opinions completely change. And they're totally different. He's like, I hate moral arguments. And Ghetto's like, excuse me? Assigning reasons and responsibility to strength is what weak people do. It's like, Gojo's like, just be strong. Like, just the stronger the strong, and there's just no point in reasoning about it. And Ghetto's like, excuse me? I love that his hair whips and it knocks the ball out like it was like knocking it out from afar. And then Shoku's like, I gotta go. She's like, bye, I'm leaving. He says, quit making yourself feel better by spouting bullshit. Bleh. Oh my God. And I'm just like, the tension between the two, I'm ready for them to like go at each other in a gym closet based on this one argument. I was like, she's like, run for it, bye. And then he's like, do you want to take this outside? And he starts like activating and getting, he's like, you want to take this outside? And Ghetto's like, are you feeling lonely? I'm like, you, both of you just need to fucking get it over with. Go by yourself. And then the president's like, what are we doing? Why? Every single time. He's like, how long are you going to keep fooling around? And they're like, oh, we didn't know where Shoku went. Bathroom probably. And she's like, I ain't staying and watching this. Okay, so let's bring up Tengen real quick. Can we bring up Tengen? Because I'm going to be honest. Also, the way that this school is designed was giving me a lot of Haikyuu vibes because of the little hallway. But then I was also thinking of Kuroko's basketball. It's a fun time. I think it's too much for you, but Tengen-sama asked for you specifically. What? So, Tengen. I thought that Tengen was the old man with the guitar for a hot second. And then when I got done with the reaction before I started this, it like hit me. I was like, no, that was Yoshinobu. Because I was like, Yoshinobu, we're going to put him over here. Yoshinobu is the one with the guitar. So Tengen-sama is somebody totally different that we haven't really encountered, I don't think. Tengen asks for Ghetto and Gojo specifically. Gojo says later it's because they're the strongest of the two Jujutsu sorcerers. I fully believe that because, yeah, Ghetto and Gojo have OP powers, and they're clearly the strongest. I also think it's amazingly clever and very good early on for Akutami to show that no matter what happens in this story, the viewpoints between Ghetto and Gojo are always going to be opposite. They are always going to be opposing one another. They're like opposite ends of a magnet, right? Because whether they disagree in the present timeline, whether they disagree in the movie timeline, whether they disagree in the past as students, they're always on opposing sides. And there's always this tension between them and this separation. And I think that that's smart for Akutami to have done. Because could you imagine if Gojo and Ghetto did team up? They would destroy the world. Like they could make the world bow down to them. And I think that's going to be a point that's brought up in this flashback is how things could have been, but Gojo, for some action to happen, something's going to drive Gojo to change his mind, something's going to drive Ghetto to change his mind. We just don't know what yet, but I think that's fascinating that it's smart for Akutami to do that. But it says, they're like, your mission has 2 goals. The star plasma vessel is the one compatible with Tengen-sama. So we see this girl, she kind of looks like Yuta a little bit, kind of like Fushiguro a little bit. So we have this star plasma vessel is the goal. Your goal is to escort her and erase her, meaning she never existed because she's going to be used by this Tengen-sama. Okay, so their job is to kidnap this girl and basically do away with her, which seems rather weird because they're supposed to be sorcerers. They're supposed to protect people, but you're going to kill this girl? Interesting. And they're like, escort a brat and erase her. I like that Gojo calls her a brat when he is a brat. Also, Gojo, we've been joking about this in the Discord. Gojo is trying so hard to be young in the present, like with the haircut and everything, that I'm like, you're a middle-aged man. Just accept it and move on. I say he's middle-aged. He's like in his 30s. But yeah, that's right. He's like, have you gone senile? He's like, it is spring. He's probably got his head full of being the next principal. Ah, so he's going to start being the principal. Okay. He says, is this about renewing Tengen-sama's technique? And then they go, and Gojo's like, what's that? I like that Gojo's like, what's the technique? He's like, what? Should I know? The curse technique of immortality. So, we're going to talk about immortality. Awesome. So, apparently Tengen-sama has this technique. It's called immortality. But it's not that they live forever. That's not really how it works. It's a curse technique that they have. And it's not eternal youth. So, it wouldn't be an issue if they just get older. But after his body gets to a certain point, the curse technique begins to rewrite his body. So, it's a man. Tengen is a man. And says that what it is once the body gets too old, it rewrites itself. Which has like a very Doctor Who vibe to it. Like in Doctor Who, the Doctor regenerates himself and becomes a new person, and that's its immortality. But this seems like it's different, right? And the idea behind it is that it's called evolution. He'll cease to become human and become a higher form of existence. I mean, that seems creepy. That seems creepy. So once it rewrites itself, this is called evolution, and the human dies, and it's a new, higher, quote-unquote, form. My question is, how do they know this if it's never happened before? Have other people had the curse technique of immortality and that's what happened to them? How do they know this is going to happen if it's never been happening before? And I like that Gojo says, what's wrong with that? It sounds cool. Like Gojo wants to be a higher form of, like Gojo wants to be a god, right? Which is not how he seems to be in the present. So again, something's going to change. According to Tengen-sama, those who reach that state of being have no will. So this has happened before. Somebody else has had the curse technique of immortality. They've evolved before, and it left them as this higher form that had no free will of their own. Which again, is rather terrifying. I don't blame Tengen for not wanting to get to that state. Tengen-sama would cease to be Tengen-sama. They'd lose their identity. All the jujitsu schools, the barriers that form the foundation of jujitsu society, and the barrier techniques of the assistant supervisors are being strengthened by Tengen. So, if without the aid of his power, we could hardly maintain security to clean up after missions. In the worst case scenario, and I love that in the worst case scenario, you see the threat and you see the chairs, like the lens like comes across with Ghetto. So Ghetto knows all about this about Tengen-sama. Ghetto knows that if something happens and Tengen-sama evolves, it could be a threat to the Jujutsu sorcerers, right? That could be a problem because apparently Tengen, we'll draw this little arrow over here. Tengen is strengthening the Jujutsu sorcerers and the barriers. And without it, it could be a threat. Okay. So it's curious. I want to make note that both Gojo and Ghetto know this. That if something happens and Tengen evolves and becomes this higher being, then it could be a threat to Jujutsu sorcery, right? Maybe Tengen will keep protecting them. Maybe they won't. If they have no free will, there's no way of knowing if it'll stay the same way or not, right? So then that's why every 500 years they find a plasma star vessel. And I like that you see the DNA strand in the foreground, like the DNA strand to like visually represent. They have to find somebody that is compatible with him every 500 years to be a sacrifice and assimilates them, overriding the information of their body. So basically, Tengen is going to take over the body of this girl, essentially, which is creepy. So basically every 500 years, this plasma star vessel is a sacrifice for Tengen to assimilate. So I say he, I guess we should call Tengen they, because if they assimilate into a female, then that changes their gender, right? Maybe. Or are they non-binary? We don't know. But yeah, that's what's so fascinating is that they are totally fine with sacrificing this girl. Like they're totally fine. This girl's got to die so that the sorcerers can keep having power to protect the masses. We'll sacrifice the one to save the many. And they just do it without blinking an eye. It's so fascinating. Like we spent half an arc mourning the loss of Junpei, this one person, and Yuji mourned this one death that they were close to, and yet Gojo and Ghetto are talking about sacrificing this girl without batting an eyelash. Like, yep, that's just what's gonna happen. Interesting. By renewing his body, he resets the curse technique back to the start and avoids evolution. And Gojo's like, the moment that Gojo made the Digimon reference, I lost it. Because it's just like when Gojo was telling Yuji, when Yuji was on the ground writhing, he's like, will I get to learn Bankai? Will I get to have a Shuriken? Like, what's going to happen? Am I going to be the next Hokage? Like, when he was making all the references to the shonen from the time when he would have been a kid, Gojo is making a damn Digimon reference saying, oh, so it's fine if he turned into Metal Greymon, but if he turns into Skull Greymon, that would be really bad. So we want him to stay back as Koromon. God. And if you've watched Digimon, it's just like Gojo explained it in 5 seconds, being like, best case scenario, if he evolved, he'd say Metal Greymon. But worst case scenario, Skull Greymon, he destroys everything. So we just want to keep him in a state of Koromon, and then we don't have to worry about it. So yeah! Oh my god, I freaking love it. I love that Akutami got away with it. I was like, yeah. Do that Digimon reference. So we have to start him over from Koromon. I love that Ghetto's like, yeah, sure, that works. I love that Ghetto's like, I've not watched Digimon, so whatever, man. Oh my god, Gojo. And he's so serious, too. He's so serious about it. And so they find out where the star plasma vessel's location has been leaked at, and that there are 2 groups after the young girl's life. So it's like, well, we've got to stop them from getting her, but we have to get her too. The curse user group Curse Q. Now, okay, so Curse Q are a bunch of curse users. All right, so there's that group that's after her that are the threat, supposedly. And then the other group. And so, yeah, the curse user Q what? Their group is like gonna up in Jujutsu Society with Tim Asama's Rampage, and there's like the leader they look like Quincy. They look like Quincy from Bleach. It almost looks like a parody of their uniforms. They're so gaudy. I'm like, Akutami, you're such a bitch. Like just blatantly ripping it off. I love it. And so then the other group is the Star Religious Group. And they have like all the flowers and like all of the like symbolic looking symbolisms here. The Time Vessel Association that worships Tengen. So there's this Time Vessel organization. So one wants to use Tengen to go on a rampage, and one worships Tengen. Again, like two very extreme sides of idolization, right? So fascinating. And they're like, Tengen-sama will assimilate the star plasma 2 days from now. You are to protect the girl until then to ensure she reaches Tengen-sama. Okay! And if you fail, the effects will ripple throughout even normal society. Don't forget that. And they're both like, everything's fine! We're not gonna screw up! No, sirree! And then I like that Gojo presses the cola twice because he's such a bitch. And he's like, but you know, I get why the curse user group would be after her, but why would this star religious brat group want to kill her? And then what is with the way that they walk? Like Ghetto's all hunched over, and Gojo just looks like Gumby walking around. What is this? What is even happening? He looks like Milk off of Drag Race in that hip-hop video. What is this? What a gangly man. I feel like Akutami is just having the time of his life drawing this. And seeing it animated is just so weird. Their object of worship is the pure form of Tengen-sama. So allowing the star plasma vessel in their minds in impurity to blend with him is unforgivable. Which is such a weird thing because we've established Tengen is at least over 500 years old and has done this before. So they've already merged with someone else in the past. So they technically have already been impure. So that makes no sense. So I'm wondering if there's something else to it. And we just don't know it yet. I mean, the curse user group makes sense. The Star Religious Group is an organization of non-sorcerers, so I don't think we need to pay them any mind. Ha 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 ha! Joke's on you! We have to be wary of Q. It almost seems like Q is the distraction, and the Star Religious Group is the one we should really be worried about. Right? Seems to be the case. And so yeah, then Gojo with his damn golden flip phone, like he's the golden child sitting there sipping on his cola. Yep. We're the strongest after all. That's why Tengen-sama asked us specifically. Again, it's so weird because Gojo, for all he is in the present time, he's not as boastful as he is here. Like, he says he's the strongest matter-of-factly, but he's not trying to be snooty about it. He's snooty about it as a kid. So it's like, again, he gives off the rich boy vibes. Like mommy and daddy gave him a Ferrari, right? When he turned 16. But yeah. And Ghetto's just like, I cannot get enough of their dynamic. Ghetto and Gojo. I love that Ghetto's just like, are you freaking kidding me? Why am I stuck working with you? You're like the worst. And I love that he just is like, he's like, you know, Gojo, you know, Satoru. He's like, I've been wanting to say this for a while now, but you should stop being so full of yourself. And Gojo's like, what? I love that he like crunches the can with the barrier instantly. Oh my god, especially after you're around your superiors. We might end up meeting Tengen-sama after all. Oh, I'm sure they're gonna meet Tengen-sama, I'm sure. And Ghetto says you should be more polite and humble, which is what he ends up becoming. And Ghetto's the opposite. So I'm so curious. I want to know, how does Ghetto end up being the opposite? How does Gojo end up being the opposite? What is happening? What is going on? Is every other anime-only person freaking out like me? I just want to know. He's like, you'll scare your juniors less. And he's like, screw that. And he's like, come on, Satoru. And all the places, again, this looks very much like Chainsaw Man. He says, whatever. I'll bring it up again later. So then they open up the door and there's a bomb. And then the girl like runs, like gets blown away. But Ghetto uses the power of his, like, one of the cursed spirits he's eaten to go get her. So we have some members of Q. We have Kokun, We have Kokun, who is a member of Q. He's a combatant. Their outfits are so gaudy, like the green ties with the red capes. No, not good. Not good color coordination. He said, would you please stop making us stand out? We've gotten in trouble for that this morning. Please stop. And then he has the girl that's the vessel. So they know they're from Jujutsu High, and they say, hand over the kid, or I'll kill you. And he's like, oh, can't hear you. Come closer and talk. Oh, Ghetto! And I love the Ghetto. Gojo's like, man, barely safe on that one. And then there's all the knives pointing at him. And so then we have another member of Q. And the Qs on their hats are all like, they're all like squiggly. Again, Bleach, Quincy with the Q. This curse user group that are Qs. They look like Quincy's. I'm like, Akutami, did you talk with Kubo before you drew this? Oh my god. And so Gojo, let's set some rules. I don't want to get yelled at for going overboard. And he just has those big doll-like eyes. Oh my god. He's just so creepy. That's our rule. If you don't cry. If you don't cry and apologize, I won't kill you. So yeah, what was the other guy's name? Did we get a name for him? I want to see. What was his name? We have all the guys with the knives. Oh, Bayer. We have Bayer. Like the aspirin. So yeah, and then we have this guy at the top of the tower where the bomb went off, or it's in the tower next door. The religious star group doesn't have the power to fight against Jujutsu sorcerers, so they've hired Toji. Okay, so the religious star group has hired our guy there in his sweatpants. Why not? Why not? So he says, but they can pay very well. That I guarantee. How about it, Zenin? Do you want to get in on the assassination of the plasma vessel? And so he says, I'm not a Zenin anymore. I took my wife's name. It's Fushiguro now. But sure, count me in. Oh my god, look at his face. Look at the eye. He has Megumi's eyes. Yeah. But he is like way more buff than Megumi. Okay. So, episode 25. Okay. Season 2, episode 1. Hidden inventory. I don't know. I will probably still do season 2, episode 1. But technically episode 425, I'll probably do that on the thumbnail just to be whatever. But hidden inventory. The name hidden inventory is interesting because it's like suggesting that there's something that is in their party that we don't know about yet that's fascinating. So they've hired Fushiguro, who took his wife's name. We better damn see baby Megumi and his wife. We better see them in this. I want to see it. So I'm fascinated why he changed his name, why he took her name. What's the point? So that girl's not... I thought for a hot second she was going to be like Megumi's mom because she looks a little similar. But no, that's not the case. But yeah, lots of questions. And we barely... So he's been hired by the religious group to go kill the girl. Okay. And Gojo and Ghetto have to get the girl to this Tengen so he can assimilate into her, which is the creepiest thing ever. And then the other group, the Q group, they're trying to like kill her too. So, or are they trying to like take the girl? And I'm so fascinated because it seems like they all want to kill her too. So you would think that the Curse group and the Star Religious group would team up together to do it, but that's not the case. I want to go back to that real quick where they're talking about the two groups and what they're going to do, right? There are two groups after her life. So, like, why aren't the two groups working together? Like, you think that they would just make it easy. They want to up into society with the rampage. Okay, so just to clarify, Ghetto and Gojo are trying to get the girl to Tengen so he can absorb her like freaking Kirby. And then Fushiguro's group wants to kill her because they don't want her to merge with him. And then this Q group wants her to merge with him so they can cause chaos. So, yeah, it's I feel bad for the girl. She didn't ask for any of this. She's just compatible with this curse user. So that's creepy. I feel bad for her. She didn't ask for any of this, but whatever. Y'all. Welcome to season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen. Yay. I'm so excited, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts down below, but I know this is going to be the hardest thing I ask you all to do this entire season, but I am anime only, and I'm going in blind, so please no spoilers. But oh my god, yes! So, I'm super excited. I hope y'all are too, but yeah, I'll be back next week, for sure. Probably in a different cosplay. Probably in a different cosplay for next week, but we shall see. So in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back real soon with more of Jujutsu Kaisen.